Just give me about 10 seconds. We'll be in.
Okay.
All right, we're live.
Thank you. Good evening, fellow Joburgers, and welcome to our weekly community engagement known as The Talk with the Speaker of Council. Today, this engagement will be led by me, Councillor Salfina Mulauzi, who is the chairperson of chairpersons in the legislature, and I'm currently the acting Speaker of Council in the city of Johannesburg. I'm today the acting Speaker of Council due to the fact that Speaker of Council, Councillor Nongceba Molwele, is off sick, but she will be joining us on the platform to support us and the program. We wish you a speedy recovery, Madam Speaker, and I see you have joined us and wish you well. Ladies and gentlemen, please take cognizance of the fact that we are live on various online platforms. So please follow this discussion on the City of Johannesburg social media platform, as well as the speaker's page, which is
Discussion
on Facebook,
Monday to Thursday, 6 to 8
and
p.m.
at
with Colin
speaker
Hans.
_COJ on Twitter. We are also live on Josie FM until 7 p.m. And thereafter, we will then take the stream and play it on Eldos FM from 8 to 9 p.m. We also have Chai FM, Eastwave FM, and Radio Islam on board and are very grateful for their partnership. Chai FM will stream the show tomorrow morning on Thursday from 9 to 10. Greetings to my co-host, Dr. Fundile Nyati, Mr. Collins Hans of Josie FM. Greetings to all the listeners, all the viewers, all the leadership, and all officials present. Our guests this evening are two chairpersons from the legislature. One is chairperson of a portfolio committee of environment and infrastructure in the city of Johannesburg, Councillor Matshidiso Mfikwe. And the other one is a chairperson of a standing committee on municipal public accounts committee in the city of Johannesburg, Councillor Thandi Nondenja. I welcome you all this evening, councillors. In today's dialogue, we will be discussing the importance of oversight committees in effective service delivery at local government and the city of Johannesburg in particular. We will look at the legislative framework that governs the existence of Section 79 portfolio and standing committees in local government. And we will specifically look at one, the role of chairpersons in ensuring that effective oversight happens. Two, we will get to some of the challenges in providing oversight, if any. And three, how the failure of effective oversight affects our communities and service delivery goals in our municipality. We will be taking comments and questions from the radio stations and from our online community. Before I hand over to Mr. Colin Hans, listeners, I would like to start by asking Councillor Matshidiso Mfikwe to please take us through the legislation that governs oversight in local government, particularly the one on Section 79 committees in the legislature. Over to you, Councillor Mfikwe.
Good evening, Chair of Chairs, Acting Speaker. Let me also greet Menon Danger, who is part of the panel, greet Dr. Fundi Nyati, acknowledge the presence of our speaker, Nongceba Molwele, hoping that she's, in fact, I saw on her Twitter, she was saying she's alive and good, ready to hit the ground. And so she's healed. So welcome back, Madam Speaker. You definitely have been missed, you know. Acknowledge Josie FM and all the radio stations and its listeners. Chair, you asked about the legislation that governs the establishment of portfolio committees. The portfolio committees are formed by council. They are depicted in the standing rules of council. Council can actually establish two types of committees. One is Section 79 portfolio committees. The second type of committees is what we call Section 79 standing committees. These committees are formed by council. The composition is determined by council, and including the fact that those committees are purely reporting to council because they are doing oversight on behalf of council. So for me to respond to your questions, that is basically what I can say, that by the standing rules of council and the dictates of the committee's terms of reference, because the committees then meets and develops its own terms of reference, that determines how they are going to perform their work and what guides their work that the committees need to do. So with those words, Chair of Chairs, that is what I can say for now about what governs the actual committees. We have a number of departments in the city, from environment and infrastructure services up until transport. It's about 10 committees in 10 departments in the city. Each department has its committee related establishment as well. Some of these departments has their own entities or companies, just to make it easier for our listeners at home. The entities would be companies ranging from JRA, City Power, Joburg Water, Pick It Up, the tourism company, the theaters. So even those entities are governed by the terms of references that are established as per the existence of those committees. Part of their legislative role is to look and ensure that the IDP, the budget, and the bylaws are being developed, one, and there is public participation in the development, one, of bylaws, including in making sure that the communities are participating in the IDP and the budget as well. Another critical role is that the committees must ensure that there is participatory as well as representative role that communities can do. That means that committees, Acting Speaker, can come to committees and communities can come to committees to make presentations, make suggestions that the committees could pass through to the respective departments and entities that they are working with. Then what is critical, and we'll talk about this later, is the fact that these committees must undertake oversight role over all these departments and entities that are within their area of function. Thanks, Ma.
Re ke tsena jalo le nna ke go amogele wena moretsi molatedi ke sa ditebogo tsotlhe ka gore acting chair mo gaetsho le ene maruna e le ene maruna Masalfina molautsi, ke a go amogela bile ke re mo gona mo gaetsho Manxeba Molwele a ko o fole maruna. Go le jalo mamfikira go leboga ebile re tla kopa activate fela your video site ka re usa jalo mafaratlhatlha. Re ke tse potsa bobedi ke re, what is the role of chairpersons of committees in ensuring that oversight happens in a manner that is effective and that yields accountability in council? E ke tla isa mo councilora Nontenja.
Thank you. Good evening to the acting Speaker of Council, Mem Lauzi, our Speaker, Councillor Molwele. I hope that you are recovering well, although Mem Lauzi, you know, my tumbo gotos always hold everything together. So we are happy with the acting chairperson, but we would like to have you back on your feet. Dr. Nyati, it's always a pleasure being in your show. A greeting to you, Councillor Mfigo, my colleague. A greeting to all the radio stations that are with us today. Greeting to the community of the city of Johannesburg at large. When it comes to the role of the chairperson of the Section 79 committees, it's to ensure, first and foremost, is to ensure that the powers delegated by council to the committee are adhered to. the chairperson must ensure that when the committee sits, the committees are made up of various political parties that are represented in the city. It is the role of the chairperson to ensure that he or she always acts not aligned to any political party at that stage, so that there should be a unity within the committee. Ensure that the committee does what it should be doing when it comes to an oversight, to ensure that the service delivery takes place within the city, to also ensure that there is public participation, and ensure that the committee does hold the executive accountable at all times. I will stop there for now because it's the role of the chairperson. Thank you.
The burning issues and challenges related to providing oversight as a committee. I mean, you guys don't have a dull moment.
No, in the provision of services, Colin, there can never be a dull moment. Challenges would be when communities are raising their issues and they feel that either, sometimes you actually even take blame for programs or problems that could be from some provincial department of national departments. So because we are local government, closest, a government sphere that is closest to the community, always there will be challenges. Communities will come, Colin, we've had engagement about ESCOM, and we have to hit the ground running relating to ESCOM issues. ESCOM, inali minister, haina MMC, haina MEC, but we have to respond because our communities are the people that are affected by the ESCOM problems, Housing related issues would be of a national effect as well. But because we have a housing department as well, we have to take responsibility for that. So oversight committees must make sure that there is seamless engagement with department responses to the communities as well, because part of our oversight is making sure that some of the commitments that have been made, unfortunately, by all spheres of government are actually realized, and we are able to hold or ask questions on behalf of communities to these departments. Sorry. No, there's a problem with Joburg water, there's not have been water. So part of our role as oversight committees, me being the chairperson related, have to be able to ask Joburg water, but you have said to the city and council, you have this SLA, including these response times that you are going to attend issues about towards. Why are you not doing that? And report back to council as well. So we are basically a bridge between the departments and the communities. On behalf of communities, things must happen. And on behalf of communities, we have to make sure that those things are happening, and whoever is supposed to be or not doing whatever they're doing takes responsibility for that. So provision of services is a challenge, Colin. You can never have any moment that is peaceful, that is okay, because I would give you something as a community member, but it might not be suitable for the next person, so it is never a one size fits all. So there will always be challenges in the provision of services, and that is when portfolio committees must then come in ensuring that somehow we get the departments and the entities to balance those different needs and requirements of communities and make sure that those things do happen. Look, we providing services, we can never satisfy everybody, but at a particular point, things need to happen according to what was reported to council. Things must happen according to what was budgeted for, and council has approved the budget for. So portfolio committees have that responsibility to say, you wanted 10 rands, make sure that you spend the 10 rands for the things that you said to council, you will spend the 10 rands on, and saying, let us enforce any form of action that needs to be taken if those things did not happen according to what departments and entities have said to council. Thank you.
Now, talking about Joburg water, as we speak now, just received a report that Green Village, the whole of Green Village, doesn't have water. But hey, that one will have to park and look at it differently on another day. Now, Manontenja, I mean, how can we improve our oversight efforts, not only as the City of Johannesburg Metro Council, but as a local government in its entirety?
Well, I think it is important to improve on the service delivery, but it means that we have to improve our oversight by ensuring that the committees of council of all the municipalities are working hand in hand with the communities, because if there is no effective oversight, it means one thing, that whatever the officials or the departments are saying they've done, and there is no one to check if what they say they've done is really there, it means that the communities are going to suffer. So we need to improve our oversight roles to ensure that we go down to the ground and make sure that if they say there's a breach there, it is there. If they say there's new houses, they are there. And in cases of like the petitions, when the community petitions, if there is no effective committee that deals with petitions, it means that the community will end up fighting amongst themselves. So we need to improve on our oversight right through the country. Then that means even the final reports that we get at the end of the year, we will not be seeing the kind of reports that we are getting in most of the municipalities, disclaimers and all that. And if we improve our oversight role, that will ensure that we improve the service delivery on the ground.
Now, because we just drawing to close, let me just ask each of the chairpersons, because of on this platform, to give us just to give you the last bite. I mean, the time is just absolutely yours. Just the last bite as it relates to this very important topic of oversight and scrutiny. Just to get a last bite of this, because of
No, part of Colin is actually doing that oversight, so it is important for communities to also help us in doing this oversight. When communities pick up issues, challenges like they always do, it is important for them to make sure that we do get those issues. I mean, the Joburg, and I spoke about Joburg water delivery because I know of the challenge that you just mentioned. If we didn't know there was that problem called Green Village, we wouldn't have known they were changing pipes and there was a tie-in problem that they experienced. We only got to pick up when people were saying, but we don't have water and there is no communication. So my encouragement is, as much as there are committees that are responsible for oversight, Colin, our communities must also be active citizens, so that between us and active citizens, we are able to hold the executive and the entities accountable. One thing that I want to also emphasize is that as communities are doing their oversight, helping us, they don't have to fight with their infrastructure, by means of destroying and fighting little robot or traffic lights or burning tires. That does not help because it is creating more problems. So what I'm encouraging that our communities, let us work together. And the last time I spoke to you, I said to you, people are free to come to our offices, free to call, free to send emails, for us to be able to work in making sure that services are given and they get the types of services that they need and they deserve, as communities and as voters for government. Thank you, Colin.
Manontenja, you concur?
Yes, I concur with my colleague. It's so important that there is a great, good working relationship between the municipality and the citizens of that municipality, so that when they have problems, they don't hesitate to get to the municipality and report. Instead of damaging what they have to own the infrastructure that it is there, so that they can improve and get more. Let's say in Green Village, if they have toilets, they mustn't toy and burn the toilets because they want the water. They must follow the correct route to get the water, and they must voice their voices in a decent manner that says, we are all the citizens of this country, let's work together. So that togetherness And also the media must also be the bridge that goes between the citizens, as you are doing today. We have radio stations. So those who listen to those radio stations, some of them are hearing for the first time that there are committees that can assist them with their problems in the areas where they are residing. Thank you.
Moretsi, ke ra gore go le jalo nkampe ke bile ke buse Maruna, ke buse Salfina. Salfina, wena ka gonne o dutse jalo as an acting speaker of the city of Johannesburg. Gantse ba bua bo Maruna on the oversight. Some of the things that you also deal with that comes to your door. Ke eng Salfina?
Thank you, Colin Seraleboga. A lot of things that come from our communities. Mostly, it's our communities. The challenge that we have, they don't know where to voice their concerns. Instead of them coming to our offices or going to their ward councillors, so that their matters should come to our Section 79 committees, they would go out there and do it. But the offices are open. Everybody is open. And then we have Twitter accounts, people who are on Twitter. We have communities, more facilities, the ward councillors are there. Please talk to them, community members, all these issues that are there in our communities. We have quite a number of challenges. We have some communities, when they do come to the speaker's office and say, then we make it a point that we make sure that the communities that has a concern, together with the ward councillor that they're complaining about, and then they talk, and then we make sure that we resolve whatever issues that are there, and we assist them into resolving the issues. So it's quite a lot of things that we are doing as the legislature. And the main thing is to make sure that the services IDPs through holding the executive to account. If the executive has 2 meters, make sure loss and then hold accountable. How much do you have? That 2 meter, for an example. So that is our job as Section 79 committees. And as the Speaker's office as well, we support the Section 79 committees. The challenges, they come to the chairperson of chairperson's office so that the main thing is to service the community, the city of Johannesburg.
Ms. Alfina and my colleagues as chairpersons, we should understand, Jorge, since the dawn of our conversations on community radio stations, destruction is actually getting lesser and lesser. And our people were taught very well to follow process. And when they follow process, a simple thing like communication from entities, I mean, like Joburg Water disregarding to tell people what's happening, yet you can find them spending money over useless things. Now, this communication issue, our people are not gullible. Our people got references. Now, chairpersons, please come back on the show. But that's the last bite, just 2 minutes each, to say, Mamfikwe, our people are not gullible. Ma non-danger. People are aware of process, but the failure of response, a positive from entities, like it's a deliberate matter. Take your 2 minutes on that each.
Colin, there is no expenditure of the city's money on useless things. Ne? Whatever the city and entities are spending would have been in their business plans, would have been in what we call a service delivery plan, as SDBIP. So first, I needed to clarify that. So problem is the responses, and we're raising it as a challenge as well, from the point of oversight, that we must stick, because the entities said to the city, to council, we will respond to one, to make an example again about Joburg Water, we will respond to best pipes within certain hours, amount of hours. We will remove a blocked sewer, 30 hours they say. So what we need them is to really commit to those hours as agreed to by council. Yes, I have raised as well as a chairperson of EISD, Colin, The fact that communication in communities, and I'm saying Yarona because of I'm part of the collective leadership of the city. It's not well. It is not really giving confidence to communities. And that is why I always say to you, Colin, the platforms that you guys are giving us, I'm happy that the speaker and Elders FM and the other radio station are beginning to talk to us as residents, you know, because this is part of the platforms that we need to use. You guys are community radios, rooted in the community, next to the communities. So we must use you more and more for us to also reach out to our communities as well. So communication is something that you fine tune all the time. You identify challenges, improve on them so that it's able to reach out to the people that you need. So, and it's something that we always raise with the entities as well. I have raised in particular the issue at Green Village. From last night, they haven't had water. Communities are saying we don't know what's happening. It can be that when Chairperson of Committee Mfikwe asks Joburg water or Green Village then there is when an explanation comes. The top just said we have Twitter, we have Facebook. The entities have those platforms. There is radio stations as well. Let us utilize these platforms for us to reach out to communities. It's not at its peak, and something that we need to continue working at, but communication needs to be perfected because,
Beautiful.
as you say, if communities don't have information, then it's going to be a problem. So information is power. Let us empower our communities by communicating with them.
Menon Tenja, you got just 45 seconds.
I would say we emphasize on the part of the oversight. Effective oversight will result in effective service delivery. We must ensure that our communities are informed. We are grateful to the radio stations because the radios, almost everybody listens to the radio, unlike the TVs where some people cannot afford this and that. But the radio station is the most powerful communication channel. So we are grateful that you have pulled them through to assist us in this. But communities also need some education. We have to educate our communities as leaders. We have to be with the communities on the ground. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Maruna. Let me just take everything back to my co-host, the acting speaker of council of the city of Johannesburg, Ms. Alfina Malautsi. Everything is yours. Adios.
Thank you very much, Colin Raleboga. Sipo, from this moment, can I check if there are any questions from the
discussion, Monday to Thursday, 6 to 8 p.m. on Josie FM.
Greetings, Madam Chair and Acting Speaker. Thank you very much. And thank you to Josie FM. Thank you to Ale, Elders FM. We are live on Elders at the moment. Just some comments that are coming through. The first one from Tutuga says, Pambili with upscaling GLU and district development support, Metsidin Fikwe perspective. Tulile says, true councillor CD. And we've got Sylvia Monakele who says, we are here watching Pambili, Chair of Chairs. Some more comments that are coming through. Kagiso says, why is it that if there is irregular, wasteful, and fruitless expenditure, that there is no accountability and nobody is being dealt with? Vincent says, service delivery in Johannesburg is very poor. The streets of Joburg are very dirty. Robots are broken. Potholes are all over. What sort of oversight is taking place if Joburg is in such a state? Then there is more comments coming through. For effective oversight and scrutiny, chairpersons of oversight committees should be from different political parties. That comes from Sivuyo. Another comment says, leaders of the same party can never hold each other accountable. You find a councillor having to hold an MMC to account or provide oversight, but politically, that MMC is senior to that councillor. Therefore, oversight is compromised. That comes from Nati Lukanya. One last comment is Stelo says, who oversees the overseer? Do these Section 79 committees actually have teeth to bite? It seems like they do not have any power. That comes from Tuli Similo. Thank you very much, Chair. I know there were quite a few. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much, Sipho. Councillor Nontenja, can you answer any questions that you might be able to answer from the social media?
Thank you, Chair of Chairs. Let me start with the one on the UIFWs. To say that the city of Johannesburg is the only municipality in the country that has a subcommittee to MPEC that is dealing specifically with that. To say irregular, unauthorized, fruitless and wasteful expenditure, so that we can be able to hold the executive accountable. We are in the process of getting the disciplinary board in place, because we would like to see a situation where when somebody has done something, they have to pay for there must be consequences. So for us to be able to implement consequence management, we need to have that disciplinary board in place. We are holding them accountable. We are making sure that the city gets the value for money as these committees. I know we will not be able to satisfy everybody, but the city of Johannesburg is really trying to get somewhere to another level. We are trying to fight all these things that we know that they shouldn't be there. So unauthorized, irregular, and fruitless and wasteful expenditure are dealt with by the municipal public accounts and its subcommittee. Yes, there is a seer that sees the overseers. We are accountable, as I said at the beginning, that the powers are delegated by council to us as the committees. The committees have to make recommendations to council, which turns out to be resolutions of council at the end. So we also track those resolutions to say if we agreed on this one and it passed in council, when is the executive implementing the resolutions of council? So we are on our toes all the time and keeping them on their toes also to make sure that there is accountability. There are people who are held accountable, because that's why we have these oversight committees in place. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Nontenja. Councillor Mfikwe.
Thanks, Acting Speaker. I guess Councillor Nontenja has covered some of the issues very well. We all account to council. Remember when I spoke earlier on, I said all committees are committees of council. So council collectively holds us accountable. So we can't, as portfolio committees, go to council and report lies, or mislead council. That is an offense as per the standing rules. So we have a responsibility to go to council and act in an honest and very truthful manner in holding the executive accountable. Committees are appointed. The other point that was asked is that what happens about it's a political seniority and all that jazz. Look, when we are in council, all of us are councillors. All of us are equal. We are all councillors. There is no political seniority or anything. When we perform our function of council, we perform according to the portfolios and responsibilities that council has given us. So if I'm a chairperson of a committee and the MMC is a senior in the party, when you're in council, there's no seniority of parties. Yes, there should be respect, there should be treatment with integrity, but the fact that I'm the chairperson of the committee and have been duly delegated to hold a particular department or MMC accountable, everybody must respect that, you know, and that is why the standing rules of council would actually determine how committees are formed, how representation in committees should be formed, and those standing rules of council, all of us as councillors has deliberated on and had agreed on. Committees then, as I said, also as well, acting speaker said, they do form their own terms of references that are presented to council for agreement or endorsement by all councillors that are sitting in council. So political seniority does not necessarily come into place here or come into play here. One comment that Sipho spoke about was the fact that the city is dirty. And part of the discussions that we must have, maybe Comrade Nongceba, Madam Speaker, with Dr. Nyathi, is also how do we mobilize communities around participating in the cleanliness of the city itself? Because you tend to see communities having delegated or relegated cleaning of the city to this of their areas to the city, and where you will find motorists opening windows and throwing dirt out of moving cars, you know, communities throwing waste as they walk around, eating something that they drop, and when you ask pick it up, you know. So cleaning the city, as Pick It Up has a responsibility, but equally so, as residents of the city, we have a responsibility. Cleaning the city is a collective responsibility, you know. So a discussion that we must have, without necessarily Comrade Salfina taking out my age. When I was still in primary school, part of the lessons that we were taught there was about how to keep your own areas clean. And the theme was like cleanliness is next to godliness.
Yes.
That was something that we were taught in school, at primary school, you know. So we probably need to say with the Department of Education, how do we go back to teaching kids about those types of things? I mean, how do you teach young girls to be ladies, to clean themselves, young boys to keep themselves clean, including taking care of their own environment? Because I get about so because if we don't do that, we'll still even have young adults who grow up in throwing waste around and saying, you know, without taking responsibility. So we all have a responsibility to keep the city clean. Yes, the city must do its part, but as communities, we also must do our part as well. Because who vandalizes, who throws, you know, who dumps illegally? You know, it's communities, it is not the city. You know, so how do we as a community work together with the city in ensuring that we deal with illegal dumping? We deal with without vandalizing environment or our own infrastructure. How do we make sure that with the city, we come together and we work as a team that we are supposed to be working as communities? Thanks, Chair of Chairs.
Thank you very much.
May I come in, Chair of Chairs? There's just one
Sir.
question that we didn't address.
Okay.
The one that says these committees must be chaired by various political parties. That is what is happening in the city of Johannesburg. All the parties, most of the parties are chairpersons. So it's not chaired by the ruling party. It's chaired by the various parties that are forming the part of the city of Johannesburg. And also to say, if you are a senior in your party, it doesn't mean that you are a senior in council. Council is made up of various political parties who has a responsibility to hold the executive accountable. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Fikwe and Councillor Nondenja. I just want to add on to what Councillor Nondenja have just said. As the chairperson of chairpersons, I chair a committee that has all the political parties except the EFF. We don't have a chairperson from that side. The chairpersons belong to different political parties. And even though they were not belonging to different political parties, council committees themselves in a multi-party nature. There is no way that if the chairperson, for an example, if it's an ANC chairperson and an ANC MMC, there is no way that that MMC cannot be held accountable, because the committee that the chairperson is leading is in a form of a multi-party. Issues that are raised in a committee are the issues that the chairperson will take to council. It is no way that there's no way that the chairperson can not represent a Section 79 committee that she or he is leading in council. So oversight is being done. It's just that we still have to, better our oversight, especially in these days when we have COVID. We are trying to come up with another way of saying, how do we do it? Making it a point that we adhere to the legislation of that controls COVID. Thank you very much, councillors. I see we have sort of responded to most of the questions that were asked. I would like to ask you, Councillor Mfikwe, on the fact that you were talking about communities attending Section 79 committees. What is the process of us to make sure that communities do come and attend Section 79 committee meetings?
Thanks, Acting Speaker. Look, we at the Environment has actually started the process where communities have made requests to come address the portfolio committee. The communities have to ask through either the coordinator of the committee or the chair that they would want to come address. Then we do afford them that opportunity. It's important that communities can just rock up, because then there is an agenda set, so it's important that we give them time, we include them in the agenda so that they are able to come and talk to us. So we are encouraging communities do those requests. Given anything, council is also open. Just that now, because of COVID, we have issues. But when under a normal circumstance, council has always been open to communities. As much as I was saying to some people that are coming from our party, that you can't come to a council meeting and you hear that you don't like what you said and you say point of order. But then you can come in and to become an observer in observing the proceedings of council, so that communities can see and learn what happens in council. So those are open to the public, but it's different that in portfolio committees, communities have to make that request to come and address the committee. Then it will be afforded. If there's a need to invite the relevant department, then that will be done as well. But it has to be indicated in the request that Councillor Mfikwe, please, we want to talk to you about city power related. Can you please invite the MMC or the entity to come to the meeting for us to be able to have an engagement with the committee? I'm going through some of the questions you put on Facebook. There's a question that is asking, are recommendations to council binding? Yes, whatever goes to council must be implemented, because it becomes a resolution of council, either through the reports or through motions or through questions that might be coming from councillors representing their communities. As long as council say we therefore recommend and it is adopted, it is actionable, it must be actioned by the relevant entities and the relevant departments. I thought I should pass that through as I saw the question on Facebook, Acting Speaker. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Councillor Mfikwe. Sipho, do we have some more questions on Facebook and on other platforms?
Yes, we do, Madam Chair. The one from Non-Dumiso Mtembu says, thanks for sharing with us. I like the separation of power, which ensures that the executive gets to account to the legislature. We appreciate the monitoring of performance in all sectors by the legislature. Lloyd Mbele did ask about the recommendations. Mfikwe has responded to that. We have another one from Tandi Mdlalose. Mam Tandi Mdlalose says, thanks very much, Keda Matsiriso, for encouraging our communities about cleanliness, as well as yourself, acting speaker, chair of Chair Siyabonga. Somebody from Eldos says the sad thing, leadership, is that Eldos has not seen most of the projects being spoken of. And when it comes to cleanliness of the city, most of the immigrants feel that this is not their country. That is why they litter. A community like Kliptown has not seen any action since the dawn of the day. When will the people see us helping them? We want to lead the communities, but we ignore their pleas. The last comment I saw earlier on, let me just get to it quickly. So this one says, even though there may be good oversight, nobody is ever brought to book or held accountable. When will government fire those who are not delivering on services? That comes from Thabo Sibanda. Thank you very much. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you very much, Sipho. Are there any response from Councillor Tandi on the issues raised by Sipho currently?
Thank you, Acting Speaker. To respond to the latest questions is to say, to someone who's outside there, it might seem as if there is no one being held accountable or responsible. There are people who got fired because they've done wrong in the council. The officials get fired. It's not something that goes out there maybe, but those who are close to those who have been suspended or who have been fired will testify to the fact that there is something that is done when somebody does something that's out of maladministration or whatever they've done. There is consequences for whatever they are doing. It's not as if there is no one that's held accountable. That's another thing that we really need to. That's why I said we need to educate our people, because this comes from misinformation. People are feeding other people something that's not true. There is something that's done. There are disciplinaries that takes place within the city, and we follow the procedures. It's not as if people are allowed to do as they please and it ends there. No, it doesn't. But with the implementation of the disciplinary report, it's going to be even worse. So we are hoping that that is going to be in place soon. Maybe we should be publishing these things, but also to say, people, like my colleague said, they have to attend to these things. For instance, MPEC, the Municipal Public Accounts, when we get the annual financial report, we invite all the stakeholders. Anybody can have inputs because it gets published. So it becomes a public document and they can read on it and they can make their own inputs. The city is our city. It's not the councillor's city or the official city. It's for the community of Johannesburg as a whole. So we have to partake in whatever is going on. Make your voice heard. You have to come forward with the inputs. We are having round tables and we have committees that go out to the communities, and communities must be there and make their own inputs and learn the processes as they go, instead of being fed or misinformed and take that as the reality, which is not true. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Nontenja. Councillor Mfikwe, before we move to our closure, I would like you to Councillor Nanchanja just said, make your voice heard. I just would like you to speak to how communities can make their voice heard through the IDPs and the community-based planning that we have been doing as the city.
Okay, thanks, Acting Speaker. The IDPs, there is already a schedule that is out that would want our communities, maybe Sipo and the team could post as well on all social medias that is available for our communities to see how they could participate and where they could go in terms of making their voice heard. CBPs is community-based planning. There we encouraging communities to participate as well in directing where the city needs to do their planning in terms of their own benefit as communities. So the IDPs is a process that says, as communities, we want to see 1, 2, 3 developmentally happening in our areas, so that when the budget is being apportioned, it is apportioned based on what the community needs. And I said in one engagement that I had, I think with Colin, Acting Speaker, that communities must talk to government about their needs, not their wants, because then we cannot prioritize wants over needs, so that we know where we're spending the government money on, so those are important processes, because if communities do not participate in the IDPs or in the CBPs, then we wouldn't even know where we need to spend the money on a budget that needs to be benefiting communities. So for us, it is very important. So the IDP session is on now. The last week, Wednesday, approved the IDP plan, public participation plan, also tabled for community engagement, the draft budget, the tariffs, including the IDP itself. So we want to really encourage our communities to get hold of these documents, look at them so that you are able to do your inputs. There would be emails that communities can send their comments on. There would be a number that communities will send their comments on. Those documents are actually available at all regional offices, where we know that these are council regional offices, those documents are there. So please, our communities, go out there, make your voice heard, because part of the challenge, and this is also part of responding to elders, working elders, at 12 chairs, talking about developments in Kliptown and Eldorado Park not happening, which is not necessarily true anyway. Is that communities don't make their voices heard, don't direct the budgets that they want to see happening. But now I want to particularly focus on this question and Acting Speaker, that about from elders, working elders, that in Kliptown there has not been any development since the dawn of the day. This is not true. I know for a fact that in Kliptown there has been JDA did work in Kliptown to beautify the area. The Sisulu Square is in Kliptown. I know there were issues, and I think they were even reported to the communities of Kliptown around the building of houses. In a program that we had launched with the former Mayor Paxtow, that was going to build Kliptown communities houses. Councillors would remember that then when Mashaba took over, he alleged that the contractor that was appointed was a beneficiary of the ANC, and he took that contract to court for review. We are informed that they are still in court even now. That is what delayed the building of houses in Kliptown. Eldorado Park has had its fair shares of services being delivered. But I think probably with that process here on of taking chairpersons committees to areas, we might need to want to focus in Kliptown and Elders, so that we engage with the communities there to take them through what is planned in the IDPs that has been approved, what is the budget that was allocated, and get departments to say how far are they in the implementation of what was approved, and talk to them about going forward in terms of Kliptown and particular Elders, Kliptown and Elders particular, so that you are able to elevate the issues that they are raising. But it is not true that there have not been any development around the two areas. We have seen them, we have participated in those developments, and some of them have happened. What we need is our communities taking care of their infrastructure as well, because messing up with infrastructure would contribute to some community members saying there is no development happening in their areas because we allow people to mess around and destroy our infrastructure. So communities need to stand up against this. It is not helping us in taking our areas forward and maintaining the areas that we are having. Thanks, Acting Speaker.
Thank you very much, Councillor Mfikwe. I see, Sipo, you say you have 3 more comments from the social media?
No, Chair, I've already covered those ones. It was earlier on.
Okay, thank you very much, Sipo. I would like to give you 1 minute each to say your last bite to the communities. Councillor Nontenja, just a minute.
Thank you, Acting Speaker.
What is it that you say the communities should assist us in making sure that we do the best oversight of them all?
What I can say to the communities of the city is that take ownership of the city. Be there. Make sure that what you need to happen in your place, you voice it. You work with the city. You mustn't listen to all the other things. Make sure that you are there when your councillor calls a meeting. Don't say this is the councillor of the ANC or this is the councillor of the DA. It's the councillor of the ward where you are residing. So your needs will be taken care of there. So attend the meetings, have a voice. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Nontenja. Councillor Mfikwe, what would you like to say to our communities out there and our listeners?
Thank you, Acting Speaker. Look, I think I would want to write on to the words of Councillor Nontenja that our councillors are public representatives. They represent us and I'm saying us because I live in a community. They represent us as communities in a whole. So part of us working for the community is the community assisting us in doing that work. We must avoid when we see some service delivery breakdown because the best sewer is not happening from my gate. I'm not worried about it. If it is not reported, please report it so that we are able to pick it up. But know that councillors are working for communities and should work with communities. We can also not have communities working against their councillors. Yes, hold them accountable, but do not work against them. You know, and I'm saying this, cautioning against communities that actually fight and threaten their own public representatives. You know, all of us have a responsibility, as I said, running and making sure that service delivery happens and happens to the way we desire is a collective responsibility. All of us must make sure that we do help in holding government accountable. So with those words, 12 chairs, thank you very much for the opportunity. And Dr. Fundi and the team, thank you very much. You make the city great, and we are able to use the platform in communicating with our communities as well. But together we can do miracles. Together we can make sure that as communities and government, we do realize a dream city, a city that all of us can play and work in. So let us work together because together we can do more. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, councillors. Councillors, we have now community members and listeners. We have now come to the end of our program. I would like to reiterate and say to all our community members that we are starting with our IDPs from the 8th of April up until the 8th of May. Please attend. Sipo and the team will make sure that it is on all our social media platforms. Please attend, and your ward councillors where you live will invite you to these meetings. Please attend. These are very crucial meetings that will assist you and make sure that tomorrow you don't say there's nothing that is happening in your area. Please come and talk to the city and make sure that your voice is heard, and so that something can be done in your community. I would like to take this opportunity to thank everyone, our listeners that have tuned in through all our social medias. I would like to take this opportunity as well to thank all the radio stations that are working together with the City of Johannesburg. Dr. Nyati, our host, thank you very much. for doing what you are doing to us. You are enabling us together with the radio stations to touch base with our communities. Madam Speaker, thank you for being part of this meeting, even though you are not feeling well, but I know by now that you must be feeling well. And chairpersons, thank you very much. The information that you gave to the communities is very valuable, and we thank you a lot. And I think next time, Dr. Nyati and Madam Speaker, in this talk of yours, we will make sure that we continue with a community participation and the officials of the city and of the programs. Thank you very much. Thank you. Over to you, Dr. Nyati.
No, thank you very much, Chair of Chairs. I don't have much to contribute besides to just thank everybody who participated, and we're looking forward, to the speaker coming back and relieve you of some of the heavy work that you've been doing in her absence. Yeah.
We've been driving her.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you. Well done. Thanks, Madam Speaker.
Bye.
Thanks,
Good
Madam
night.
Chair.
Good evening. Have a nice evening with your families.
Thank you so
Thank
much,
you.
Tim.
Thank
Thank
you,
you, Dr.
Chair.
Nyati
Thank you, Dr.
Siyabonga.
Nyati. Thank you,
Siyabonga.
everyone.
Thank
Siyabonga, Mama
you. Thank you,
Nontenja.
team. Thank you, team. Well done. Well done.
Thank you, Tim.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Madam.
Chair, Speaker.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Hope
Tande.
you're doing well, Madam Speaker. It's good to hear from you. You look good, by the
Linkundleni
way.
wami,
Bawugula
ubuhle
nje wena.
kanjani? Ubuhle
Thank you,
kanjani?
Bawugula. Awuzitshele, bawugula
Nama
la.
ngisaboni kahle.
I mean, I saw the photos on Twitter and I'm like,
Hayi
bona
bo.
muthu nakhulu. Bona muthu nakhulu. Hayi, azikudlalwa ngathi. Ngabe usitshelile ukuthi ucela ilizwi. Besizokunikeza.
Hi. Dr. Nyati tseo kaofela. He's the one that is
Hayi,
responsible.
Dr. Nyati has been taking care of me.
We will have
Cela
to
ukuphunga,
take on
Dr.
board.
Nyati. Nathi sicela ukuphunga, please. Akuyishare i-prescription nasombelief talk.